Good evening and welcome to the Tonight programme. How happy are you? The government believes the answer to that question can give us an indicator of how successful we are as a nation. But does a contented population mean a more productive one? Jonathan Maitland takes a look at the science of happiness and asks, is Britain happy?
Right, good morning to you all. This involves volunteering, doing stuff for others, and Solomon here is going to explain.
Thank you guys very much for coming down. You're now at the soup kitchen, so we do a lot of work with the homeless. We've got a lot for you lot to do today, so it's going to be helping out with preparing with food, sorting out some of the clothes we've got going on at the back there, and also just engaging with the people. So thank you guys very much for coming down.
And we're getting started, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Good.
They get straight to work. This place offers assistance not only to the homeless, but anyone in the community needing help to get back on their feet. Scientists have found that helping other people consistently rates as one of the most effective ways to boost your own well-being. So, to try and get a better understanding of why that is, some of our volunteers wore portable scanners which monitor the area of the brain involved in emotion.
So, Trey, these are the findings, yeah?
Yes.
And what have you found? What's the most striking thing?
What's interesting actually is we found that it was less about the task itself, more upon the sense of gratification and the completion, i.e. when Kerry was sorting the clothes, it was a very relaxing process. However, you find the true pleasure, the real kind of electrodermal, the true emotional response when somebody comes in and acknowledges what we have done and gives us that praise that really gives us that intrinsic value that we're looking for, where I guess is very tightly linked to happiness and joy itself.
So what you're saying is that approbation and acknowledgement from other people is really key in making us happy.
Absolutely.
So, companionship and helping others makes you happier, whilst money may not. But why is that? Well, the answer lies within the inner workings of our brains. Neuroscientist Morten Krinkelbach has spent his life studying the science of pleasure. Here at Oxford University, he's investigating how the brain reacts to things that we enjoy compared to the things that we don't.
Where do I put that?
In your nose, please.
Okay, Johnny, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling reasonably happy because I had a nice lunch.
Through these tubes, I'm smelling some pleasant
Lavender.
and not so pleasant smells.
Oh, that's pungent. That's not nice.
The brain responds very differently to both.
So does this mean that you can actually see the effect of emotional changes in the brain?
Yes, that is exactly what it means. It means that we can see what kind of brain regions are talking to each other. There is a difference between nice and nasty things in your brain.
And
this is what happens when you had a nice smell.
Yeah.
And that part is different from the one that was active when you had the negative smell.
Morten believes that if we can understand how the brain processes pleasure, then we'll have a better idea of how to become happier.
And are pleasure and happiness linked?
They're certainly linked. They're not the same thing. Happiness is like a state and pleasure is like small moments in that state. Clearly the same kind of region must be involved. But then again, happiness is something more. Happiness is not just pleasure, but is also meaning. And meaning, of course, is something that we find foremost in other people.
What are the practical applications of this kind of thing?
Well, I think one of the very practical things is that if we can understand where pleasure is in the brain, we can understand what happens when there's no pleasure. And we can start to think about how it is that we could change the brain, so how we could rebalance the brain so that there would be more pleasure and therefore, hopefully, more happiness.
It all makes the government's questionnaire seem rather low-tech.